of Cincinnati ATP 1000 Masters event and one of the most important preparation tournaments for the US Open. He's citing a knee injury, and this is what he had to say. After consulting with my doctors and my team, I have to announce that I need to withdraw from the Masters 1000 tournament in Cincinnati. My right knee has been bothering me, and even though we have been working hard with my medical team, I have to accept that I'm not ready to compete yet. I'm very disappointed not to be able to play in Cincinnati and wish Bob Moran and his whole team a great and successful event. I can't wait to be back next year, and I'm now focusing on getting ready for the US Open. Mark, what do you make of this statement, of this pullout? Expected, unexpected? Did you hear rumblings before the actual withdrawal?
I think a lot of us that obviously are on social media for our jobs saw a few rumblings on there, but obviously trying to make a sense of what's fake news, what's real news is always kind of difficult. You can go to hospital for a whole sort of plethora of reasons, but obviously Jannik had been seen at a private hospital in Milan and everybody was kind of chattering about what it was for. There was some talk that it was about his knee, so obviously somebody had some inside information on that. And clearly it's come to the fore that that's exactly the reason that he was there and that he's not playing Cincinnati. Obviously a huge sort of loss for the tournament in Cincinnati, no question. I think obviously bad news for Jannik himself. He would like to get some matches ahead of the US Open to go and try and win that major. Does it make him less of a favourite heading into New York? He has got a nice bit of runway still. Obviously, to leave it this late from pulling out means that he was thinking that there was a chance that he was going to play. So I think that that's a positive for tennis fans, that there's a good chance that even though he's not going to be in Cincinnati, there's probably a great chance he's going to be in New York.
Well, and I do think that he's learned a lesson from the French Open debacle. This is a strong word, but I do think that he obviously came in fresh somewhat, but also not fresh at all because he had played so much, winning the Sunshine Double, winning Monte Carlo, Madrid, Rome, everything that you can name, he won it. And I do think that in the past, Jannik was one of the players that was always on the fewer tournament side rather than on the more tournament side. And I do think that he wanted to catch up from being banned for 3 months, and so he wanted to really fill this period with great results, which he did. But then the moment a little obstacle came physically, which was the heat at the French Open, that's when he stumbled right away and fell on his nose. And I do think, or I hope, I think this is more hope than think, I do hope that there is an extra portion of precaution in this decision with the lessons maybe learned during the clay court. Is it summer? Spring? Clay court swing. Summer somewhere in the world. During the clay court swing before the French Open. Would you agree with that or not at all?
I would agree with that. I think we're hearing that there's no structural damage, so that's good news. It's just inflammation in the knee. So this is a question of just kind of tiptoeing his way to the start line in New York. And obviously one of the benefits of being the best player in the world is that you get a fairly protected route through the first week. And that obviously allows him to build some kind of form. And I think that obviously is one of the areas that these top players are able to look at, even though maybe the preparation isn't ideal. They are still good enough, particularly on the men's side, even though it's a little more physical with the best of 5. You do get a little bit more of a window to find your form. You can drop a set. You can potentially even drop a couple of sets. How many slams has Novak won from coming back from 2 sets to love down? So, there's just extra sort of bandwidth for somebody like Jannik to make a run at New York without the sort of lead-up tournaments in it. And I do think you're right. I think him coming into New York being fresh is going to be far more important than him coming in having played Cincinnati, whether he won it or not. So I think that's a very good point that you make.
And I do think that also the heat in Cincinnati is generally and traditionally some of the worst. We saw Jannik Sinner last year struggling from it, Alexander Zverev struggling from it, who rarely ever struggles in the heat. So that is a factor that definitely doesn't help. Mark, let's talk big picture. What does it mean? We have now lost world number 1 Jannik Sinner. We had already lost a couple of weeks ago, I believe, Carlos Alcaraz, who has pulled out. Does it make the tournament any less fun? You know my stance. I love chaos. Yeah. I'm an absolute advocate for more chaos and more unexpected results. But I know that a lot of people are more in the camp of we need the big champions and the big stars for a tournament to perform well.
It's a great question. I've been thinking about this for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess Jannik pulling out gives me sort of some sort of space to kind of think about it. But when I look at sort of tennis and we talk about the problems and we talk about them and we seem to be talking about them for decades, it tends to be because our focus is so heavily weighted on the stars.